The Cataract of Lodore by Robert Southey. Read for LibriVox.org by Ruth Golding. "How does the water come down at Lodore?" my little boy asked me thus once on a time. And moreover he tasked me to tell him in rhyme. Anon at the word there first came one daughter, and then came another, to second and third the request of their brother, and to hear how the water comes down at Lodore, with its rush and its roar, as many a time they had seen it before. So I told them in rhyme, for of rhymes I had store, and 'twas in my vocation, for their recreation, that so I should sing, because I was laureate to them and the king. From its sources which well in the tarn on the fell, from its fountains in the mountains, its rills and its gills, through moss and through brake, it runs and it creeps for a while, till it sleeps in its own little lake. And thence at departing, awakening and starting, it runs through the reeds, and away it proceeds through meadow and glade, in sun and in shade, and through the wood shelter, among crags in its flurry, helter-skelter, hurry-scurry. Here it comes sparkling, and there it lies darkling, now smoking and frothing its tumult and wrath in, till in this rapid race on which it is bent, it reaches the place of its steep descent. The cataract strong then plunges along, striking and raging as if a war waging its caverns and rocks among, rising and leaping, sinking and creeping, swelling and sweeping, showering and springing, flying and flinging, writhing and ringing, eddying and whisking, spouting and frisking, turning and twisting around and around with endless rebound, smiting and fighting, a sight to delight in, confounding, astounding, dizzying and deafening the ear with its sound, collecting, projecting, receding and speeding and shocking and rocking and darting and parting and threading and spreading and whizzing and hissing and dripping and skipping and hitting and splitting and shining and twining and rattling and battling and shaking and quaking and pouring and roaring and waving and raving and tossing and crossing and flowing and going and running and stunning and foaming and roaming and dinning and spinning and dropping and hopping and working and jerking and guggling and struggling and heaving and cleaving and moaning and groaning and glittering and frittering and gathering and feathering and whitening and brightening and quivering and shivering and hurrying and scurrying and thundering and floundering, dividing and gliding and sliding, and falling and brawling and sprawling, and driving and riving and striving, and sprinkling and twinkling and wrinkling, and sounding and bounding and rounding, and bubbling and troubling and doubling, and grumbling and rumbling and tumbling and clattering and battering and shattering, retreating and beating and meeting and sheeting, delaying and straying and playing and spraying, advancing and prancing and glancing and dancing, recoiling, turmoiling and toiling and boiling, and gleaming and streaming and steaming and beaming, and rushing and flushing and brushing and gushing, and flapping and rapping and clapping and slapping, and curling and whirling and purling and twirling, and thumping and plumping and bumping and jumping, and dashing and flashing and splashing and clashing, and so never ending but always descending, sounds and motions for ever and ever are blending all at once and all o'er with a mighty uproar. And this way the water comes down at Lodore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Curse by John Donne. madmouth. Whoever guesses, thinks, or dreams he knows who is my mistress, wither by this curse. Him only for his purse may some dull whore to love dispose, and then yield unto all that are his foes. May he be scorned by one whom all else scorn, forswear to others what to her hath sworn, with fear of missing, shame of getting, torn. Madness his sorrow, gout his cramps, may he make by but thinking who hath made him such, and may he feel no touch of conscience, but of fame, and be anguished, not that 'twas sin, but that 'twas she. Or may he for her virtue reverence one that hates him only for impotence, and equal traitors be she and his sense. May he dream treason, and believe that he meant to perform it, and confess and die, and no record tell why. His sons, which none of his may be, inherit nothing but his infamy. Or may he so long parasites have fed, that he would fain be theirs whom he hath bred, and at the last be circumcised for bread. The venom of all stepdames, gamesters' gall, what tyrants and their subjects interwish, what plants, mine beasts, foul fish, can contribute, all ill, which all prophets or poets spake, and all which shall be annexed in schedules unto this by me, fall on that man, for if it be a she, nature beforehand hath out-cursed me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Daughter of Mendoza by Mirabeau Bonaparte Lamar. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Fish on the Texas frontier on July the 12th of 2009. O lend to me, sweet nightingale, your music by the fountain, and lend to me your cadences, O river of the mountain, that I may sing my gay brunette, a diamond spark in coral set, gem for a prince's coronet, the Daughter of Mendoza. How brilliant is the morning star, the evening star how tender, the light of both is in her eyes, their softness and their splendor. But for the lash that shades their light, they were too dazzling for the sight, and when she shuts them, all is night, the Daughter of Mendoza. O ever bright and beauteous one, bewildering and beguiling, the lute is in thy silvery tones, the rainbow in thy smiling, and thine is too o'er hill and dale, the bounding of the young gazelle, the arrow's flight and ocean swell, sweet Daughter of Mendoza. What though perchance we meet no more, what though too soon we sever, thy form will float like emerald light before my vision ever. For who can see and then forget the glories of my gay brunette? Thou art too bright a star to set, sweet Daughter of Mendoza. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Helen All Alone by Rudyard Kipling. Read for LibriVox.org by Shawn Michael Hogan, St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. There was darkness under heaven for an hour's space, darkness that we knew was given us for special grace. Sun and moon and stars were hid, God had left his throne. When Helen came to me, she did, Helen all alone. Side by side, because our fate damned us ere our birth, we stole out of limbo gate, looking for the earth. Hand in pulling hand amid fear no dreams have known. Helen ran with me, she did, Helen all alone. When the horror passing speech hunted us along, each laid hold on each, and each found the other strong. In the teeth of things forbid and reason overthrown, Helen stood by me, she did, Helen all alone. When at last we heard the fires dull and die away, when at last our linked desires dragged us up to day, when at last our souls were rid of what that night had shown, Helen passed from me, she did, Helen all alone. Let her go and find a mate, as I will find a bride, knowing naught of limbo gate or who are penned inside. There is knowledge God forbid more than one should own. So Helen went from me, she did. O my soul, be glad she did. Helen all alone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hysteria by T.S. Eliot. Read for LibriVox.org by Laura Scott. As she laughed, I was aware of becoming involved in her laughter, and being a part of it, until her teeth were only accidental stars, with a talent for squadrille. I was drawn in by short gasps, inhaled at each momentary recovery, lost finally in the dark caverns of her throat, bruised by the ripple of unseen muscles. An elderly waiter with trembling hands was hurriedly spreading a pink and white checked cloth over the rusty green iron table, saying, "If the lady and gentleman wish to take their tea in the garden, if the lady and gentleman wish to take their tea in the garden." I decided that if the shaking of her breasts could be stopped, some fragments of the afternoon might be collected, and I concentrated my attention with careful subtlety to this end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I know an aged man constrained to dwell, by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Semantic, Nuance. I know an aged man constrained to dwell in a large house of public charity, where he abides as in a prisoner's cell, with numbers near, alas, no company. When he could creep about at will, though poor, and forced to live on alms, this old man fed a redbreast, one that to his cottage door came not, but in lamb partook its bread. There, at the root of one particular tree, an easy seat this worn-out labourer found, while Robin packed the crumbs upon his knee, laid one by one, or scattered on the ground. Their intercourse was theirs, day after day. What signs of the mutual gladness when they met! Think of their common peace, their simple play, the parting moment and its fond regret. Months passed in love that failed not to fulfill, in spite of a season's change, its own demand, by fluttering pinions here and busy bill, there by caresses from a tremulous hand. Thus, in the chosen spot a tie so strong was formed between the solitary pair, that when his fate had housed him mid a throng, the captive shunned all converse proffered there. Wife, children, kindred, they were dead and gone, but if no evil hap his wishes crossed, one living stay was left, and on that one some recompense for all that he had lost. Oh, that the good old man had power to prove, by message sent through air or visible token, that still he loves the bird, and still must love, that friendship lasts though fellowship is broken. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lines Inscribed Upon a Cup Formed from a Skull by George Gordon, Lord Byron. Read for LibriVox.org by Shawn Craig Smith. For more information or to volunteer, go to www.librivox.org. Start not, nor deem my spirit fled. In me behold the only skull from which, unlike a living head, whatever flows is never dull. I lived, I loved, I quaffed like thee, I died, let earth my bones resign. Fill up, thou canst not injure me. The worm hath fouler lips than thine. Better to hold the sparkling grape than nurse the earthworm's slimy brood, and circle in the goblet's shape the drink of gods than reptiles' food. Where once my wit, perchance, hath shone, in aid of others let me shine, and when, alas, our brains are gone, what nobler substitute than wine? Quaff while thou canst another race, when thou and thine, like me, are sped, may rescue thee from earth's embrace, and rhyme and revel with the dead. Why not, since through life's little day our heads such sad effects produce, redeemed from worms and wasting clay? This chance is theirs to be of use. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Miniver Cheevy by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Read for LibriVox.org by madmouth. Miniver Cheevy, child of scorn, grew lean while he assailed the seasons. He wept that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Miniver loved the days of old, when swords were bright and steeds were prancing. The vision of a warrior bold would send him dancing. Miniver sighed for what was not, and dreamed and rested from his labours. He dreamed of Thebes and Camelot, and Priam's neighbours. Miniver mourned the ripe renown that made so many a name so fragrant. He moored romance, now on the town, and art a vagrant. Miniver loved the Medici, albeit he had never seen one. He would have sinned incessantly could he have been one. Miniver cursed the commonplace, and eyed a khaki suit with loathing. He missed the medieval grace of iron clothing. Miniver scorned the gold he sought, but sore annoyed was he without it. Miniver thought, and thought, and thought, and thought about it. Miniver Cheevy, born too late, scratched his head and kept on thinking. Miniver coughed and called it fate, and kept on drinking. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Oz Story by L. Frank Baum. Read for LibriVox.org by Miriam Esther Goldman. Once on a time, the stork brought a baby to Frank Jocelyn and Helen Snow Baum. And the baby was so smiling and sweet and merry that he won his way to all hearts, those of strangers and his doting relatives. For, as the stork was flying earthward, it met the love fairy, who stopped to kiss the babe. And next the laughing fay tossed it in his arms, and then Glinda the Good blessed it and decreed it happiness. So as the stork flew with its burden until it passed the Emerald City, where the Shaggy Man took the love magnet from the great gates and passed it against the infant's brow. And so, what do you think will be the fate of this youngster so favored by the fairies? I know. He will find in life joy and gladness and prosperity, and since he has touched the love magnet, he will win all hearts. It is decreed. To Jocelyn Stanton, Tick-Tock, Baum, who is 1 year old this 14th day of July, 1909, when this, the first copy of the first edition of this book, reached me from the publishers. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On My First Son by Ben Jonson. Read for LibriVox.org by Shawn Craig Smith. Farewell, thou child of my right hand, and joy. My sin was too much hope of thee, loved boy. 7 years thou wert lent me, and I thee pay, exacted by thy fate on the just day. Oh, could I lose all father now! For why will man lament the state he should envy? To have so soon 'scaped worlds and flesh's rage, and if no other misery, yet age. Rest in soft peace, and asked, say, here doth lie Ben Jonson his best piece of poetry, for whose sake henceforth all his vows be such as what he loves may never like too much. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org by Miriam Esther Goldman. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which still survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Promise of the Morning Star by Amy Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Benton. Thou, Father of the children of my brain, by thee engendered in my willing heart, how can I thank thee for this gift of art poured out so lavishly and not in vain? What thou created nevermore can die. Thy fructifying power lives in me, and I conceive, knowing it is by thee, dear other parent of my poetry. For I was but a shadow with a name, perhaps by now the very name's forgot. So strange is fate that it has been my lot to learn through thee the presence of that aim which evermore must guide me, all unknown, by me unguessed, by thee not even dreamed. A tree has blossomed in a night that seemed of stubborn barren wood, for thou hast sown this seed of beauty in a ground of truth. Humbly I dedicate myself, and yet I tremble with a sudden fear to set new music ringing through my fading youth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, excerpt, Proverbs of Hell, by William Blake, read by Craig Campbell in Appleton, Wisconsin in 2009. Proverbs of Hell. 1. In seed time learn, in harvest teach, in winter enjoy. 2. Drive your cart and your plow over the bones of the dead. 3. The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. 4. Prudence is a rich, ugly old maid, courted by incapacity. 5. He who desires but acts not breeds pestilence. 6. The cut worm forgives the plow. 7. Dip him in water who loves water. 8. A fool sees not the same tree that a wise man sees. 9. He whose face gives no light shall never become a star. 10. Eternity is in love with the productions of time. 11. The busy bee has no time for sorrow. 12. The hours of folly are measured by the clock, but of wisdom no clock can measure. 13. All wholesome food is caught without a net or a trap. 14. Bring out number, weight, and measure in a year of dearth. 15. No bird soars too high if he soars on his own wings. 16. A dead body revenges not injuries. 17. The most sublime act is to set another before you. 18. If the fool would persist in his folly, he would become wise. 19. Folly is the cloak of knavery. 20. Shame is pride's cloak. 21. Prisons are built with stones of law, brothels with bricks of religion. 22. The pride of the peacock is the glory of God. 23. The lust of the goat is the bounty of God. 24. The wrath of the lion is the wisdom of God. 25. The nakedness of woman is the work of God. 26. Excess of sorrow laughs. Excess of joy weeps. 27. The roaring of lions, the howling of wolves, the raging of the stormy sea, and the destructive sword are portions of eternity too great for the eye of man. 28. The fox condemns the trap, not himself. 29. Joys impregnate, sorrows bring forth. 30. Let man wear the fell of the lion, woman the fleece of the sheep. 31. The bird a nest, the spider a web, man friendship. 32. The selfish smiling fool and the sullen frowning fool shall be both thought wise, that they may be a rod. 33. What is now proved was once only imagined. 34. The rat, the mouse, the fox, the rabbit watch the roots. The tiger, the horse, the elephant watch the fruits. 35. The cistern contains, the fountain overflows. 36. One thought fills immensity. 37. Always be ready to speak your mind, and a base man will avoid you. 38. Everything possible to be believed is an image of truth. 39. The eagle never lost so much time as when he submitted to learn from the crow. 40. The fox provides for himself, but God provides for the lion. 41. Think in the morning, act in the noon, eat in the evening, sleep in the night. 42. He who has suffered you to impose on him knows you. 43. As the plow follows words, so God rewards prayers. 44. The tigers of wrath are wiser than the horses of instruction. 45. Expect poison from the standing water. 46. You never know what is enough unless you know what is more than enough. 47. Listen to the fool's reproach. It is a kingly title. 48. The eyes of fire, the nostrils of air, the mouth of water, the beard of earth. 49. The weak in courage is strong in cunning. 50. The apple tree never asks the beech how he shall grow, nor the lion the horse how he shall take his prey. 51. The thankful receiver bears a plentiful harvest. 52. If others had not been foolish, we should be so. 53. The soul of sweet delight can never be defiled. 54. When thou seest an eagle, thou seest a portion of genius. Lift up thy head. 55. As the caterpillar chooses the fairest leaves to lay her eggs on, so the priest lays his curse on the fairest joys. 56. To create a little flower is a labor of ages. 57. Day embraces, bless relaxes. 58. The best wine is the oldest, the best water the newest. 59. Prayers plow not, praises reap not. 60. Joys laugh not, sorrows weep not. 61. The head sublime, the heart pathos, the genitals beauty, the hands and feet proportion. 62. As the air to the bird, or the fish to the sea, so is contempt to the contemptible. 63. The crow wished everything was black, the owl that everything was white. 64. Exuberance is beauty. 65. If the lion was advised by the fox, he would be cunning. 66. Improvement makes straight roads, but the crooked roads without improvements are roads of genius. 67. Sooner murder an infant in its cradle than nurse unacted desires. 68. Where man is not, nature is barren. 69. Truth can never be told so as to be understood and not be believed. 70. Enough or too much? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Quarrel by Eleanor Wiley. Read for LibriVox.org by Bellona Times. Let us quarrel for these reasons. You detest the salt which seasons my speech, and all my lights go out in the cold poison of your doubt. I love Shelley, you love Keats. Something parts and something meets. I love salads, you love chops. Something goes and something stops. Something hides its face and cries. Something shivers, something dies. I love blue ribbons brought from fairs. You love sitting, splitting hairs. I love truth, and so do you. Tell me, is it truly true? End of Quarrel. This recording is in the public domain.
The Quest by Aleister Crowley. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Piazza. Apart, immutable, unseen, being before itself had been, became. Like dew a triple queen shone as the void uncovered. The silence of deep height was drawn a veil across the silver dawn on holy wings that hovered. The music of three thoughts became the beauty that is one white flame, the justice that surpasses shame, the victory, the splendor, the sacred fountain that is whirled from depths beyond that older world, a new world to engender. The kingdom is extended, night dwells, and I contemplate the sight that is not seeing, but the light that secretly is kindled, though oft-time its most holy fire lacks oil whene'er my own desire, before desire, has dwindled. I see the thin web binding me with 13 cords of unity toward the calm center of the sea. O thou supernal mother! The triple light my path divides to twain, and 50 sudden sides, each perfect as each other. Now backwards, inwards, still my mind must track the intangible and blind, and seeking shall securely find hidden in secret places fresh feasts for every soul that strives, new life for many mystic lives, and strange new forms and faces. My mind still searches and attains by many days and many pains to that which is and was, and reigns shadowed in 4 and 10, and loses self in sacred lands, and cries, and quickens, and understands beyond the first Amen. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubt if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. End of The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. This recording is in the public domain.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Tim Mathis. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though ours for the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Song by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Julie van Wallichem. Oh, love, they said, is king of kings, and triumph is his crown. Earth fades in flame before his wings, and sun and moon bow down. But that, I knew, would never do, and heaven is all too high. So whenever I meet a queen, I said, I will not catch her eye. Oh, love, they said, and love, they said, the gift of love is this, a crown of thorns about thy head, and vinegar to thy kiss. But tragedy is not for me, and I'm content to be gay. So whenever I spied a tragic lady, I went another way. And so I never feared to see you wander down the street, or come across the fields to me on ordinary feet. For what they'd never told me of, and what I never knew, it was that all the time, my love would be merely you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Suicide in the Trenches by Siegfried Sassoon. Read for LibriVox.org by Neil Donnelly. I knew a simple soldier boy who grinned at life in empty joy, slept soundly through the lonesome dark, and whistled early with the lark. In winter trenches, cowed and glum, with crumps and lice and lack of rum, he put a bullet through his brain. No one spoke of him again. You snug-faced crowds with kindling eye who cheer when soldier lads march by, sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To My Tortoise Chronos by Eugene Lee Hamilton. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Davis Drake. Thou vague, dumb crawler with the groping head, as listless to the sun as to the showers, thou very image of the wingless hours, now creeping past me with their feet of lead. For thee and me the same small garden bed is the whole world, the same half-life is ours. And year by year, as fate restricts my powers, I grow more like thee, and the soul grows dead. No, tortoise, from thy like in days of old was made the living lyre. The mighty strings spanned the green shell with pure vibrating gold. The notes soared up on strong but trembling wings through ether's lower zones, then, growing bold, spurned earth forever and its wingless things. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When We Are All Asleep by Cosmo Monkhouse. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Jerry Hendershot in July 2009 at University Park, Maryland. When we are all asleep. When he returns and finds the world so drear, all sleeping, young and old, unfair and fair, will he stoop down and whisper in each ear, "Awaken!" Or for pity's sake forbear, saying, "How shall I meet their frozen stare of wonder, and their eyes so full of fear? How shall I comfort them in their despair, if they cry out, 'Too late! Let us sleep here'?" Perchance he will not wake us up, but when he sees us look so happy in our rest, will murmur, "Poor dead women and dead men. Dire was their doom, and weary was their quest. Wherefore awake them into life again. Let them sleep on untroubled. It is best." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When You Are Old by William Butler Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Elvira Shaw. When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book, and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face among a crowd of stars. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Which Shall It Be? By Ethel Lynn Beers. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Benton. Which shall it be? Which shall it be? I looked at John, and John looked at me, dear patient John, who loves me yet as well as though my locks were jet. And when I found that I must speak, my voice seemed strangely low and weak. Tell me again what Robert said. And then I, listening, bent my head. This is his letter. I will give a house and land while you shall live, if in return from out of your 7, 1 child to me for aye is given. I looked at John's old garments, worn. I thought of all that John had borne of poverty and work and care, which I, though willing, could not share. I thought of 7 mouths to feed, of 7 little children's need, and then of this. Come, John, said I, we'll choose among them as they lie asleep. So, walking hand in hand, dear John and I surveyed our band. First, to the cradle lightly stepped, where Lilian, the baby, slept, a glory against the pillow white. Softly, the father stooped to lay his rough hand down in loving way, when dream or whisper made her stir. And huskily he said, Not her. We stopped beside the trundle bed, and one long ray of lamplight shed athwart the boyish faces there, in sleep so pitiful and fair, and I saw on Jamie's rough red cheek a tear undried. Ere John could speak, He's but a baby too, said I, and kissed him as we hurried by. Pale, patient Robbie's angel face, still in his sleep bore suffering's trace. No, for 1,000 crowns, not him, he whispered, while our eyes were dim. Poor Dick, bad Dick, our wayward son, the turbulent, reckless, idle one, could he be spared? Nay, he who gave bade us befriend him to the grave. Only a mother's heart can be patient enough for such as he. And so, said John, I would not dare to send him from her bedside prayer. Then stole we softly up above, and knelt by Mary, child of love. Perhaps for her 'twould better be, I said to John. Quite silently he lifted up a curl that lay across her cheek in wilful way, and shook his head. Nay, love, not thee. And while my heart beat audibly, only one more, our eldest lad, trusty and truthful, good and glad, and so like his father. No, John, no, I cannot, will not let him go. And so we wrote in courteous way, we could not drive 1 child away. And afterwards, toil lighter seemed, thinking of that of which we dreamed, happy in truth that not 1 face we missed from its accustomed place, thankful to work for all the 7, and trusting the rest to One in heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.